Welcome to another edition, season 2 of the Power Connector podcast. I'm your host, Derek Dickow, where I enjoy a curiosity conversation with people that I respect and admire in business, people that have achieved certain levels of success. And with me today is somebody that has achieved success in 2 industries at a very young age. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with my friend, Dr. Ammar Alkhafaji, principal at W Investors. And, somebody that has really, it's just been amazing to see your growth over the last 5 to 10 years, in school, working full time, then became a physician, and also in your spare time, a commercial real estate developer, investor. And it's something that, most people, when you ask them how to be successful, they say, pick a lane, stay in that lane. And here you are, somebody that has found opportunities and success in 2 very distinct career paths. And it's just amazing to see it. So congratulations to you. Would love to learn a little bit more about that journey, first into medicine and then into commercial real estate. And I know you're going to start with a conversation at some point about entrepreneurship and what it's like to be raised with that mentality. But first and foremost, welcome to the Power Connector podcast. Good to see you.
Thank you, Derek. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate this awesome introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And it's a great way for us to both start the new year. And I couldn't be happier to be here today. And thank you for that.
I appreciate your time. Let's start with a way that I like to start all of my conversations with is what is new and exciting for you in your business?
So there's a lot going on, both on the medicine side as well as the real estate side. For us as a company at W Investors Group, which is our family company, which I help run with my father, we have a lot of different projects that are moving forward, a lot in the multifamily space. We're developing new housing across multiple different communities right now. We're also developing self-storage as well as retail right now. So we're staying busy and getting busier in the office sector, surprisingly, as well.
So several different, so again,
Yes.
Even in the commercial real estate, you're still, that tent is so big for you that
Absolutely.
You're looking at different asset classes. Again, you talk to people sometimes and they're like, if you want to be successful, stay in one lane, but here you are, you're finding success in many different verticals. So I'd be very interested to hear about your approach to business, your approach to opportunities, but how could we not start into the journey of medicine and what drew you into healthcare and what drew you into medicine at a young age?
Sure. It was very natural for me, but it was also a difficult decision for me as well. See, I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. I was very blessed. I have 2 amazing parents and I have 3 younger sisters, and we're a very close-knit family, just as your family is. And, I'm a second generation Iraqi American and very proud of it. Both my parents were born and raised in Iraq and came here and built themselves from the ground up here. My father started his business here when he came here back in the 70s and, went to school here at Lawrence Tech, got a degree in architecture and then a master's in urban planning at Wayne, and went straight off into business and started developing and became a real estate developer and really grew himself and set a name for himself here. So growing up with his influence and him being my role model was a true blessing for me. And seeing him go through the struggles he went through, the ups and downs of real estate and his other businesses, but never bringing that stress home. We always had a stable home, no matter what was going on in terms of economic crises or other things. We had a steady home front. And that was something that I always aspired to do for my future family. And seeing that, my father, has a strong work ethic. So he brought me to work with him ever since I was in middle school. So every summer, it was time to go to work. If he was going to work, I was going to work. It was not summer break. It was time for you to learn the value of a dollar, and that included every summer him taking me to a gas station, having me work the register. But when I'd get there and work there, he would tell the workers, gentlemen, this is Ammar. He is an employee. He is not the owner. I am the owner. So you treat him as such, and I want him to learn the value of a dollar. And that really set a tone for me in my life to appreciate, how hard everyone can work to get to where they need to be and how the struggle really is there for many people to really make ends meet. And that set a tone for me for the rest of my schooling. But when I was in school, my dad always thought, I would be the one to take over the business, and that was his plan. But I really enjoyed the sciences starting from middle school going on. I really enjoyed, my biology class. I enjoyed chemistry, and I did get involved in the pre-med group and things of that. And my father was always one to encourage me. He never wanted me to be the one that limited myself in terms of my aspirations or goals. So for me, I did think I was limited because it was a big task to go to pre-med and then med school and residency, and to also have this family business, which I'm the only child in our family that's involved in it. So I knew that there was this big task of one day taking over the family business, and I didn't know if there's time to do both. And that was the biggest dilemma for me moving forward. But my biggest advocate for it was my father.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept pushing me, telling me, if you truly enjoy medicine, don't limit yourself. Go ahead and go through the steps, go through the motions to get there. Don't worry about it being such a long time to get to your goal. He says, time will fly. You'll blink and you'll be done. And honestly, I blinked and I'm 30 years old and I'm graduated from residency, and now I'm an attending physician, as well as still leading in the real estate industry in our family company. So he was absolutely right about it. The biggest thing for me and the advice I can give to others is what helped me get through it is not worrying about the length of time that needed to be committed to it, but worrying about what the next step is. So, for example, if I had an exam on Tuesday, let me worry about that exam on Tuesday and then worry about the next thing after it. Let me not think about the MCAT or getting into medical school. Let me worry about getting this next step done and then moving forward to the thing after that, and just keep moving step by step, and you'll be surprised how fast time flies, and you'll be able to accomplish it. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's just about putting the time and the effort. And if you have that plan, don't don't stray away from it. For example, for me, I went to the University of Michigan for undergrad, which was a great experience. But I didn't have the highest GPA graduating from there. I had a 3.6 GPA. I applied to medical school in the States, and I got waitlisted. I didn't get in the first year. So, you have to have a plan B. My plan B was there were medical schools in the Caribbean that were linked to hospitals here in Michigan. So I went to the best school in the Caribbean, which was a lot easier to get into than a medical school here in the States. And it was called American University of the Caribbean. And it was an awesome experience. I moved away from home, lived on the island of St. Martin for a year. And then the Hurricane Wilma happened on the island. The whole island got destroyed, which was very tragic. But our school got moved to Manchester, England. So I spent a year in Manchester, England, finishing my book work for medical school, and then moved back here and did my clinicals at Ascension Providence in Southfield and Novi. And I was able to give them a good impression because they accepted me into their residency program. And I have two younger sisters I have three younger sisters, but two are in the medical field. One went to Wayne State and one went to Michigan State. And they both are now residents at the same hospital I was a resident at.
Mm-hmm.
So we all reached the same path, going to different schools, doing different things, but I could have easily given up after I didn't get into a school here, but I wanted to achieve my goal, and there are other paths. So that's my advice to everyone is don't be, put down by rejection or things of that nature. There's always another way. And, everyone has a struggle. The struggle helped me grow as a person. Honestly, it's the biggest blessing that happened to me that I didn't get into a school here, because it allowed me to move away from home too, which allowed me to grow as a person. Living in Ann Arbor is nice, but it's only half an hour away from home. I was able to come home on the weekend, see my family, but moving somewhere where you're a 6-hour flight away, you can't come home that often. And you start to grow as a person and learn about yourself. And I did really learn about myself by moving away. And so my life journey has been awesome. It's not what I expected it to be, but going through this experience has really helped me. And throughout that, I've had a solid core family bond that has helped guide me through it and support me throughout it. And I think that was key to my success in this industry.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to unpack there. I appreciate the story and the
Sure.
background, and it's been a tremendous journey. Why don't I start with just unpacking like the father figure for you? Your father, Shocker, is a community leader and somebody that has earned his respect and earned everything that he's worked for uh, from his hand. Right? I mean, he's a
Yes.
hardworking, hands-on type of entrepreneur. So it's amazing to see that at a young age he instilled in you this thought of understand the value of a dollar, work for it, even telling the employees to treat you like somebody else, right? Just like
Yes.
a regular employee and not like his son, which is a unique way to look at helping to educate his son on the value. I love that approach. Understanding that you were drawn to sciences in high school, that would seem to be a natural fit for you. At what point do you find the time in between going to medical school and then residency into saying, okay, I am developing and taking over the business on the commercial real estate side of things? I mean, this is not an easy transition for people. Some people take a lifetime to be involved in commercial real estate, and they get one or two projects that they can say, that's my pride and joy, and that's something I put my hands and sweat and blood into. But here you are at as a physician in residency in developing these types of projects that if those of you are not familiar with W Investors, multifamily, mixed use, state of the art, beautiful buildings, retail centers. You mentioned self storage, office. I mean, where do you find the time to do all this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I call it a work balance when I was in residency and in medical school. My father's philosophy on it was because I was always worried when I was going to medical school and I was going through my studies, because there's a lot of times you got to be honest where that took 100% of my time. The first 2 years of medical school, that was what I was doing. I was away from home. I was out of the country. So that time was dedicated to medicine. There are times where you have to prioritize things, and that was what my priority was. But my father always said, he said, this is not going anywhere. That you're going to come back and you're going to have the time to really dive in and get immersed into the business. And he was absolutely right. So when I came back, I would say it was the third year of my medical school when I came back here to start my clinical rotations. There are clinical rotations which are very demanding in terms of time. There are some that are much easier in terms of time restraints. So when I had those easier rotations, every day I would leave the hospital and head straight to the office. And from there, I started to immerse myself in everything going on. Just as someone would study, the NBA and know every player and know, their stats and be ready for, fantasy or whatever it is. I did that with real estate. I started to learn about every single property in our suburban area that was being developed, understand the market, understand where rents were, and really treat it as such as someone would something they're passionate about, which I was passionate about real estate.
Mm.
And that really helped me move forward is the data, understanding what people are doing where, and see the trends of what's happening in different markets, and being able to then take that knowledge and extrapolate it and say, well, if this is being done in this community, why can't it be done in other communities, and taking that approach to developing. And that's what my father and I really worked on. And our first big project in that sense was in White Lake. It was called Four Corners. It was a 6.5 acre property that had contamination on a corridor that hadn't seen development in 15 years. And we decided that we wanted to do a mixed use development there. By mixed use, we wanted to create a central boulevard and create a housing component as well as a retail component and give that synergy between the two. This was being done all across the state in more urban areas, but it wasn't really being done in suburban areas. And our approach to it was when a township or municipality has good demographics, has people that need housing, and the closest thing to new apartments in the area was built in the 1970s.
Mm.
So giving the community a new sense of pride in terms of having new housing that they could rent, because the thing is a lot of things are changing in the world we live in today, and people are more mobile, they want flexibility, and they want amenities. So we were able to build, a beautiful Class A apartment building that has lake views. has underground heated parking,
Mm.
has a yoga fitness studio, has outdoor fire pits, balconies, 11-foot ceilings, high-end high-end finishes, and really give them that sense that, this could be in Royal Oak. This could be, in downtown, one in downtown Detroit. It has that feel that it's urban. But then again, it's in their comfort of their suburban area. And with that, we were able to attract many tenants on the retail side. So we created walking sidewalks and other things to connect the retail to the multifamily. And we have tenants such as Beyond Juice, Tim Hortons, John Smith Subs, Bank of America. So you get that diversity of tenants that give that synergy to the multifamily component, and the multifamily component helps feed the businesses. And you really create like a center there. And we called it Four Corners Square because this is on the core. We're in White Lake, but across the street is Commerce. Diagonal from us is West Bloomfield, and on the other side is Waterford. So we're really central. And the project is a huge success. We are fully occupied in terms of our multifamily and doing extremely well on the retail front. And we're looking to emulate that over multiple communities right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. I just want to say a beautiful site for anybody that hasn't seen it. I was there for the grand opening of it, and you've created this. I like the word community. It is a live, work, play model. You want people to raise a family there. Maybe there's physicians, maybe there's nurses connected to the hospital, but it is a beautiful place to live. And I love how you have brought in retailers to help service and to help people feel home. And everything is, the walkability of it is nice, and it's just a beautiful project, beautiful development. I want to get back to a point that you made. You would leave the hospital, and where most people, I think, in your position would go home to eat and sleep and maybe have the TV kind of wash over them for the rest of the night. You mentioned the word fantasy, right? A lot of people enjoy fantasy sports and having some escapism. You really took that time to dive into your passion, which is looking at these opportunities, sourcing deals, and studying what the market needed and what you could invest in. So kudos to you on taking that. When you talk to people about being successful, they'll say, hey, there's 24 hours in a day. You're supposed to sleep for 8, which I don't think,
No.
I don't think you do. But you're supposed to sleep for 8. You're supposed to work for 8, which again, you don't do. And then the other 8 is supposed to be something that you enjoy and something where you spend time socially, and maybe, like people will jump to fantasy, or they'll invest their time in places that don't bring them a return, entertainment, let's say. But you took that time and you focus on, hey, how can I take my other businesses to the next level? So kudos to you for figuring out what you call it, the work model.
Sure.
But it's impressive to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that work ethic that my father instilled in me. You need to be able to persevere and push to achieve your goals. And you shouldn't set restraints on your goals. You should really try to achieve them. And when one avenue doesn't work, keep moving forward on a different avenue. For every successful deal, there's 3 other deals that were not as successful. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies and easy going, but you have those struggles throughout. And to get a project entitled is very difficult. To get it developed is even more difficult. So going through those struggles, you really notice what you can really achieve if you put your mind to it. And if you're willing to really persevere, don't take no for an answer. Keep trying to find that other avenue of how you can achieve your goal. And that's the really exciting thing. And now I'm very excited to get started even back on the medical front. I'm closing on a clinic next month in Garden City, which I'm going to be building a brand new center, which will be a multidisciplinary clinic there. And I'm creating a new brand there on the medical side to make the medical practice, and especially in the primary care space, more efficient. There's a lot of inefficiencies in it. And you talk to a lot of people who don't have a primary care physician. People hate going to the physician because they have to sit there in the office for 3 hours in the waiting room, don't know how long they're going to be there. The doctor doesn't understand their needs, or spends 5 minutes in the room and walks out.
5 minutes. Usually it's a lot shorter than that, right?
So, I'm really looking to change that and see how we can help the community in a way to streamline it, to make those efficiencies that other corporate models are using. For example, your Starbucks, your other big brands that use to incorporate their models into different communities, but you see the efficiency they have, the models they have to make things streamlined in that business and really do that for the medical side. And that's my next goal, which I'm really working hard on right now. I'm starting in Garden City. There's a few other clinics we're looking at right now to expand upon as well. And I'm very excited about that. So that'll be starting next month, and I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time to that as well.
Yeah. So leveraging some technology and helping to reduce inefficiencies to make the the end user experience a little bit more convenient, secure, safe, and just streamlined.
Absolutely.
Right. That's your focus.
Absolutely. Because, yes, they are patients, but again, you got to treat them like you would a paying customer.
Mm-hmm.
Even if their insurance is covering everything, these people are taking time out of their day to see you and you're providing a service. You need to provide good service. You have to make them feel better, but having them enjoy the experience of coming to the office is something that is very important to me. I want them to feel at ease when they come to the doctor so that they will show up to their appointments. And they know when their appointment is at 1 o'clock, they'll be out by 2 o'clock. It's not they're going in at 1 o'clock and they can't schedule any more events or meetings for the rest of the day because they have no idea when they're going to leave. We want to create that atmosphere where people feel comfortable coming to their doctor and feel that comfort level with their doctor and have those, small things that you wouldn't realize that really make a big difference in terms of healthcare. And, it's going to be, this is a new approach for me and I'm excited about it. And I'm sure there's going to be struggles along the way, but I'm ready for it. And then, like I said, if plan A doesn't work, there's plan B. If plan B doesn't work, I'll find a plan C. We're going to keep going till something happens and something really cool is created here. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, good luck to you on that. And it seems to me like most people, the last person they want to see is the physician, right?
Yes.
They do not want to come in, even maybe for an annual checkup. So to help make that process a little bit more comfortable, quicker, faster, and to give them the confidence that they know, hey, this is actually going to be an enjoyable experience, and then I can move on with the rest of my day. I think that there's a great need for that. There's a lot of challenges in the medical field across the country. We won't start with all of that because a lot to unpack there. But I like that you see it as an opportunity and you're diving straight in forward. So you're taking your entrepreneurial experience, you're taking your medical experience, you're taking your developer hat, and you're thinking about the customer. And yes, they're patients, but they're also customers too. And I like that you make the distinction and the point of that.
Absolutely. So very excited about it. And I'm excited to show you the progress along the way.
Do you have a name for it?
Still working on that.
So
it's brand new.
Yeah.
So that's the final part right now. We're going through. I have a few names, but almost done with that part. So yeah, okay. Very excited.
We'll have to talk about that at a different time. Give me an understanding. I know you mentioned your father and his leadership really kind of coaching you and sharing with you what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur, the commitment of time, and you mentioned the word resiliency, which I love. Was there anybody else that you look to for leadership? You kind of look at them and say, I really like the way that they approach their business or their company. And that's a type of characteristic that I want to emulate. Is there anybody outside of your father?
Outside of my father, yeah. I mean, there's multiple role models across every industry I've been in. On the medical side, there were numerous physicians I worked with that put the patient first before anything and really showed that compassion and that empathy that you need to show. And that really, there's a few doctors I could name that really struck a chord with me on that front. As well as in the real estate side, there are numerous developers that I look at and see what they're doing across different communities. And it's just amazing to see, how they go through it, how they persevere. There's too many to name, and I've been very blessed. I've been surrounded by numerous role models throughout my life. There's just too many to name to go through specifics, but absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing to have a culture, a community of people around you in the culture and outside that are just willing to be generous with their time, their talent, their resources, and to help pour some of that into you over the years. That's obviously evident for sure. What about any particular type of books that you enjoy reading, podcasts you enjoy listening to? I mean, you work a lot, so do
Yeah.
you have time for that kind of stuff?
I love to read.
Yeah.
I definitely love to read. I love Malcolm Gladwell. Outliers is probably my favorite
Mhm.
book by him. There's a lot of different aspects in reading that you you gain a lot through it that you don't even realize. But just sitting down and unwinding and be able to sit there with a different book. I love reading autobiographies on a lot of different people, from developers to people in the business sector. I recently read Sam Zell's book. He recently passed away, and
Mm.
I took it upon.
U of M grad.
Yep, absolutely. And his book was astonishing. The success he achieved in the multifamily space, as well as in multiple different industries, and to see the struggles he went through and how he did it. He was an attorney by trade, but he was also a developer
Mm.
in a sense, and a real estate investor. And to see that, and kind of, I saw it relatable in senses where I was a physician and dealt on the physician side, but also dealing in the real estate world and seeing some of the struggles he went through. It was very interesting to read.
Mm.
Podcasts, there's a lot of them. I really enjoy. I enjoy your podcast absolutely.
Thank you.
There's a few of them. There is Matthew's real estate podcast, he has a lot of good speakers that come on his, and there's a lot of different ones that are pretty cool.
Again, how you find time for this?
When I'm driving,
Yeah,
when you're driving, an
audiobooks.
audiobook,
Yeah.
or, instead of listening to music, I'm in the car a lot. So, you find time. If you want to do something, you find time for
Yeah,
it.
if you want to do something, you find the time to get it done. That's for sure. And I don't know how you balance it all, because just a physician career alone is enough for most people. Just the commercial real estate career is alone for most people. But
Sure.
here you have figured out a way to marry the two and to be very focused and successful at a young age. So it's been great to see your growth and development over the years. And I know I'm going to sit in front of you for dinner in 20 years and I'm going to say, look at all this stuff that you accomplished. I mean, it's been crazy to see it, and it's really awesome.
Hopefully.
So, yeah.
Looking forward
Inshallah,
to it.
like
Inshallah,
we say. Yeah,
absolutely.
we can say that on this program.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'd like to close this. I never know who listens to this,
Sure.
these podcasts, and I get approached by people all the time, and they're like, that the message that your guest had that day was really it resonated well with me. And I like to think that we draw people from different crowds, and some are in commercial real estate, some in entrepreneurship, and I think a lot of people that listen to this are also like aspirational, right? They want to be something bigger and better than what they are today. And so there could be somebody listening to this program that is a medical student, and they also have dreams of being in commercial real estate. So I would love for you to maybe close us out with some advice on what steps they might take to be successful someday.
So, the biggest thing I would say to that person who's struggling through medical school, or an aspiring real estate developer, or trying to do both, is, like I said, take it one step at a time. Focus on what you're working on right now and really do that well. Get through the next, you gotta, so for medicine, you have to complete all the steps. You have to go to medical school. You have to take your USMLE step exams. You have to get into a residency program. Those are not easy things. When you have to dedicate your time to that, make that your priority. Get those things done step by step. It'll go by a lot quicker than you expect. And you will then build that foundation, that work ethic, to get you to your other goals. While you have your spare time, start reading. Start reading a lot of the different real estate books. Start understanding what's going on in your surrounding community. That's the easiest way to understand real estate, in my opinion, is to start looking at what is happening in your community that you're currently in. Start looking at the developments that are happening there. When you see a for sale sign go up on a property, call on it. See what they're asking. See how it works. See how the valuations are done on properties. Really start with one property and start to look at how it's really underwrote, how to go about it. How does financing work? All these key components. It's pretty simple, but when you combine them all together, it's pretty complex. But you just break it down into different pieces and you understand each piece, it fits together like a puzzle. And once you figure out how that puzzle's put together, you really will get a grasp for it. Start with one asset class and start to really learn it and go from there. If that's not that asset class that excites you, move on to the next, but just work step by step, start small and really understand it and find a mentor. There's a lot of people in the community that are happy to talk to people. Just like myself, I'm happy to talk to anyone that is interested in this industry. And there are a lot of others. People in this community are ready to help. There's a lot of different groups. There's a lot of different conferences, just like your Power Connections conference. A lot of knowledge is learned in one day at that conference. It's amazing to see all the different speakers, role models, leaders in industry speaking about the current industry. And you can go up to them. Everyone is super friendly. You just have to have the initiative to go up to people and ask. If you ask, I guarantee you're going to find people who are willing to help.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You have to put yourself out there. If you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to come to you. You have to go to them. But I guarantee you will find people that are willing to help. And that's the largest thing. It's your network. Your network is your key. That's how you're going to source deals. That's how you're going to find opportunity. It's through those relationships. Relationships are the most important thing in medicine, in everything. Sometimes you're perplexed on a medical case. Who do you call? You have to have surrounding physicians to help guide you, to help that patient. It's the same thing in real estate. You come through an issue in a certain municipality. Well, this person has developed there. Why don't I call him, see how he went through this hurdle there? Or this person is going through these hurdles in this specific industry. I'm sure he has some advice for me on how to move about it. And we do that today all the time. It's always talking to different people to see how did you move through that struggle in that specific instance? And what did you do to get to the finish line? And understanding that approach sometimes helps you get to that same goal. So having a good network and being able to go up to people and ask for help is the most important thing.
Well, you heard it from the doctor here, folks. In order to be successful in medicine or in commercial real estate, you have to develop a network. You have to take initiative. No one's going to knock on your door and just bring you a deal. And if I understand you correctly, there are steps to take in everything that we do, whether it's in medicine or in commercial real estate. There are components which bring us to the greater whole. And once you figure out the puzzle, you figure out the pieces, that's where you find success. And along the way, you have to create a culture and a community of mentors and build relationships with people that have done it before you. You can read it in a book. You can gain expertise in your spare time, turning off fantasy football and not making time for that stuff and really diving into what's going to best serve you and your goals. And I just appreciate that advice. I think that people will walk away from this conversation reminded and the reinforcement from you that it's a process, but you have to build relationships along the way. And that's been part of the success of you. I mean, yes, you work hard. Yes, you have a strong work ethic. Yes, you were raised great by a loving family, but you also put in the effort to seek the advice from others, and you've built a great relationship and a network around you, which has been part of your success.
Thank you. I really appreciate
that. This is Dr. Ammar Alkhafaji, friend, principal at W Investors Group, a physician by day, commercial real estate developer by night, and somebody that has mastered the work-work balance, somebody that you can learn from. And I appreciate having you today on the Power Connector podcast. Again, this is our start of season 2, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Download this program and enjoy it on YouTube and Apple and Spotify and wherever else you enjoy your podcast. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Really appreciate it, Derek. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.